Hi, Bill Lethman here from Lethman Financial. Today I want to answer a question I get asked all the time. Can I retire? What we're really trying to find out is, have I saved enough money? A lot of articles suggest that you will need $1 million or more to retire. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a really simple 4-step formula to help you answer the question, can I retire? It's a little longer than some of my other videos, but I wanted to make sure that you walk away with some really great information that you can actually use. Be sure to stick around to the end where I reveal the super simple calculation that will tell you right now if you can retire. Let's get started. Step 1, we need to inventory your expenses. Basically, we need to figure out how much your retirement is going to cost. Now, there's two ways to go about figuring out how much money you actually need in retirement. The first method is the budget method, where you essentially add up all of your expenses, your mortgage payments, utilities, cable bill, groceries, going out to dinners, vacations, everything you spend money on. This is usually very hard to do because a lot of our expenses change from month to month, and you end up either overestimating because you're trying too hard to be conservative, or you underestimate your actual expenses because you forgot some things. So the method I like to use is what I call the take-home pay method. This is a really easy way for you to get a quick and pretty accurate estimate of how much money you actually spend in a year. To do this, let's start with your actual take-home pay for the month, the amount that actually gets deposited into your checking account after all of your deductions for taxes, insurance, and retirement account contributions, etc. This is probably a pretty decent estimate as to how much money you're living on right now. If you get paid the same amount every month, you can simply multiply this figure by 12 to get your annual take-home. Let's try to hone this in a little and get your retirement spending figure even more accurate. Do you contribute to an IRA or Roth IRA or save money in another long-term savings account? If you do, you should subtract the amount of your contributions from the annual take-home that we just calculated. You also want to think about what might be different in retirement. Will your house be paid off before you retire? If so, add up just the principal and interest that you pay during the year and subtract that. Remember, if your property taxes and insurance are part of your monthly mortgage payment, you still need to pay that even if your house is paid off. What about kids? Do you currently spend money on your kids? When you retire, will they be out of the house and on their own? Chances are yes. So you want to add up what you spend on them in a year and subtract that. Now let's talk about some fun stuff. What do you want to do in retirement? Play more golf? Travel more? Spend your winter someplace warm? Now we need to add in the cost of some of these extra things that you may not have the time to do right now. And lastly, don't forget about health care. If you retire before you turn 65 and don't have medical coverage through your former employer, you'll need to buy it on your own and budget that in as well. Now step 2, what are your sources of income? Step 2 is simply just to add up your sources of income that you'll have in retirement. Social Security. If you're not sure about your Social Security benefits, you can go online to ssa.gov and get an estimate of your benefits based on retirement at different ages. If you're within a year or two of retirement, I would recommend going into a local Social Security office to speak directly with a representative. Pension. Will you get a pension from your employer? If so, you can request an estimate of your pension from your company's HR department, or if it's available, you can log into your company benefits website and run the calculations yourself. Other sources of income. Do you have any other sources of retirement income? If you do, let's add that too. Things like rents, land contract payments, or a pension benefit from a former spouse as a few examples. You will also need to adjust your income to account for taxes. An easy way to do this is to reduce these income sources by your effective income tax rate. You can usually find this on your summary pages that accompany your tax return. Using last year's effective tax rate should give you a pretty good estimate, but to really be accurate, have a financial professional run a long-term cash flow model for you that includes estimates on taxes. So let's say your total income is $100,000 and your effective tax rate is 25%. The income you want to use in this example would be $75,000. Step 3. Now we want to calculate your annual surplus or deficit. Just subtract your annual expenses from your total income. Is the number positive? If it is, then your retirement income exceeds your estimated expenses. However, you will still need to keep inflation in mind. Even though your expenses are less than your income today, keep in mind that based on a long-term inflation average of about 3.5%, your annual expenses will double about every 20 years. If your expenses are more than your after-tax income, you will need to rely on your retirement savings to make up the difference. Step 4, divide by 0.04. To determine how much money you can withdraw from your retirement savings each year, a lot of people turn to the 4% rule. According to the rule, if you withdraw 4% or less of your total retirement assets each year, statistically you would have a high probability that your money could last for a 20 to 30-year retirement. This is just a rule of thumb, and actually I like to use a more conservative withdrawal rate of 3.6%. So to calculate how much money you need to retire, you're going to take your annual deficit and divide by 0.04. Or if you want to be more conservative, you can use the 3.6% withdrawal rate and divide by 0.036. So if your annual deficit was $20,000 a year, dividing that by 0.04 would mean that you would need $500,000 in assets to maintain your withdrawals according to the rule. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you got some great information. If you want to get more tips and strategies like this, click on the link below to check out my free retirement guide, How to Retire Happy, 7 Simple Steps to Creating Your Ideal Retirement. Thanks. I'll see you in my next video.